The Prime Minister said today Pfizer will ship 500,000 more doses in January on top of the 255,000 expected to arrive by the end of this month. Meanwhile, the U.S. intends to vaccinate 20 million Americans this month alone. Is the speed of the rollout problematic? Anita Anand is the Minister of Public Services and Procurement. She joins me from Oakville. Minister Anand, I want to start with the news today from the Prime Minister that Pfizer is going to be shipping 125,000 doses per week next month. How likely is it that you can get those numbers bumped up, that it could increase even further?
Well, David, thanks so much for having me on. And let me just say off the top that we are pressing our suppliers every day for acceleration of the timelines relating to doses. We were very pleased that we were able to secure 255,000 doses or thereabouts from Pfizer in the month of December alone. And so, yes, we are working very hard to accelerate the timelines for January. But remember that we have 4 million doses coming from Pfizer in Q1 alone, 20 million doses overall. And so we have to continue to work with the supplier to make sure that those deliveries are staying on track.
But, you know, when you speak to Pfizer, when you speak to Moderna, I mean, what is the argument you make to try to get, to accelerate the timelines? Is it offering a premium? Is it offering more money? Because everybody in the world wants these things and they can only make it so fast. So how do you try to get them to speed it up and get it to Canada quicker?
Well, let's remember that Canada was one of the first countries to sign with both Pfizer and Moderna. We were one of the first countries to approve Pfizer, one of the first countries to begin inoculations with the Pfizer vaccine. And we have definitely relayed to both Pfizer and Moderna that we as a country are ready to receive doses across this country. And so those are all arguments in favor of continuing to ensure that we are at the front of the line. As you know, the chair of Moderna has indicated indeed that we are at the front of their line, and you can see from our conversations with Pfizer and the doses that they are giving to us in an early form that we are also well placed for our Pfizer doses.
I guess what I'm trying to understand is if these initial doses are largely spoken for, right, through the pre-purchase agreements like what you have, is like, how is there room to get more? Or is it simply of the 4 million you have allotted to Canada for the first quarter, you can get that earlier? Can you actually increase the quantum above the 4 million doses that you're set to receive?
Well, it's a fair question, and I think it stems from an understanding that we are in a global environment that is highly competitive, and indeed, as you mentioned, all countries seek the same product. Having said that, the fact that Canada is ready to receive doses, that we have the infrastructure in place, from deep freezers and freezers to end-to-end logistics being led by Major General Denis Fortin, has placed us in good stead in those conversations with Pfizer and Moderna. They look at Canada and they say this is a country that is ready, that can deploy these vaccines, which are somewhat fragile, but indeed, as we can see every day now, inoculations are able to take place because of our readiness.
So if doses roll off the production line wherever the Pfizer is doing this, if a country that was in the queue to take this doesn't have the capacity to accept it and use it quickly, there's a chance that that sort of medicine then can get rerouted to Canada? Is that essentially how it would work?
Well, let me put it another way. In my early conversations with the vaccine manufacturers, there was a question about whether Canada would be ready to receive doses. And Minister Hajdu and I did assure the vaccine manufacturers that, yes, indeed, Canada is ready. And that's exactly what's playing out right now. We have a long road to travel in terms of vaccines and inoculating the Canadian population. But because of our readiness, we have been able to accelerate those timelines and ensure that vaccines are actually taking place and being utilized right here and now.
When you look at the percentage of the Canadian population that's getting vaccinated now and even over the first quarter, when Canadians look south of the border, and that's the country we're going to compare ourselves to the most, it seems to be happening more quickly in the early stages, and their targets are certainly more ambitious and more aggressive than in Canada, in no small part because the drugs are made there. When Canadians look at that, though, and see a gap between us and the United States, how do you reassure them if they're angry or concerned by that?
Well, the Public Health Agency of Canada, of course, has confirmed that all Canadians who wish to be vaccinated will be able to be vaccinated by the end of September 2021, pending regulatory approval. In addition, we have made sure that we procured enough of the Pfizer vaccine in 20 million doses and the Moderna vaccine, 40 million doses, to ensure that a very large part of the population, 30 million, in fact, would be able to be vaccinated if they chose to do so. And then standing back, David, I think it's really important to look at not only our vaccine procurements or purchases, but also the systematic way in which Canadian provinces and territories in particular, are actually distributing these vaccines. We have a methodology in place. We have a system in place. And so in addition to the procurements writ large, we also have a systematic way of deploying the vaccines. And I think that sets us apart from other jurisdictions.
But, you know, the Americans threw a lot of money at the development of this. You look at Operation Warp Speed, and I know Pfizer isn't particularly a part of that, but Moderna is. And was there an opportunity in hindsight for Canada to get in on that and get in early to maybe get even earlier doses in bigger numbers?
We are continuing to work with our suppliers every single day.
I mean in the past, so that these first deliveries could have been larger.
Timelines and ensuring larger doses, and certainly being one of the first countries to sign with Pfizer back in August to secure 20 million doses and options for an additional 56 million doses. We are very well placed to continue to put the argument forward for greater number of doses earlier on.
A final question on the Moderna vaccine. We have the announcement that they're ready to ship within approval. Do you have an indication if we're going to make that deadline of getting those initial 168,000 doses before the end of the year? I mean, I know it's contingent on Health Canada approval, and everyone's kind of waiting on that, but do we have an indication that that is imminent and the shipments will be likely before December 31st?
Well, of course, the most important point is that the Health Canada regulatory body is separate and distinct from my ministry and indeed all ministries, because of the fact that we need a regulator that is operating independently. Once that regulatory approval is forthcoming, we will ensure that the Moderna vaccines are shipping within 24 to 48 hours of the decision being made. In terms of what I'm hearing, I'm waiting like everyone else across this country to hear the news that Moderna has been approved. And once that occurs, we will get those vaccines into this country as soon as possible.
Okay, Minister Anita Anand, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, David. Take good care.
Hi, I'm Vashi Capellos, host of Power in Politics. See more of our show by subscribing to the CBC News channel or click the link for another video.